Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Hidden. Silent. Waiting, then came the transmission that shattered galactic fear. The cosmic taboo. The Galactic Assembly Hall fell silent as Dr. Alina Reyes took her position at the speaking platform. Thousands of alien delegates, representing over 400 species, watched with a mixture of curiosity, contempt, and thinly veiled anxiety. Humans were newcomers to the interstellar community, barely 2 centuries since their first warp flight, yet here they stood, already challenging one of the oldest and most sacred prohibitions in galactic law. Ambassador Exenvra, a tall, willowy being with opalescent skin that rippled with emotion, rose from the High Council's central dais as the current speaker of the assembly. Their voice carried both authority and warning. Dr. Reyes of Earth, the Council recognizes your petition, but urges you to reconsider. The prohibition on black hole proximity has stood for 17 millennia, it is not a matter open to debate. Alina nodded respectfully, though her eyes, a deep brown that seemed almost black in the dim light, remained resolute. At 42, she had spent her entire career studying cosmic singularities, and she wasn't about to back down now. Honorable Speaker, esteemed delegates, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Humanity respects the wisdom of the Galactic Assembly and the traditions that have maintained peace among the stars. However, our observations of GRS 7291, a dormant black hole in what you call the Shireen sector, have detected signal patterns that cannot be explained by known astrophysical phenomena. A holographic display materialized above the platform, showing complex waveforms and energy readings. Alina continued, these patterns follow mathematical sequences that suggest intelligence. We believe something, or someone, is attempting communication from within or near the event horizon. The assembly erupted in alarmed, chittering clicks and translatable exclamations. Ambassador Kenver's skin darkened to a stormy gray. Silence, they commanded, and the hall gradually quieted. Dr. Reyes, what you suggest borders on heresy. The cosmic accords are explicit, no sentient species may approach within 1 astronomical unit of any black hole. The penalties for violation include quarantine of your entire species. From the Altaran delegation, a being composed of interconnected crystalline structures rose slowly. Admiral Zix Kareen, one of the oldest living entities in the galaxy and a veteran of wars fought before humans had mastered fire, intoned, the human does not understand, as the Admiral's translation device rendered the formal galactic common. Black holes are not merely stellar remnants, they are wounds in reality, doorways that should remain closed. Your species is young, impulsive, you mistake ignorance for courage. Alina maintained her composure. Admiral, humans have mapped and studied black holes from a distance for centuries. Our probes have observed the event horizons of dozens of singularities, in every case, the physics, while extreme, has been consistent with our understanding of spacetime curvature. What we don't understand is the basis for the prohibition, beyond vague warnings of danger. A ripple of discomfort spread through the assembly. Far in the back, a diminutive figure with multiple ice docks leaned forward with interest. This Kalathi observer, one of the oldest species known, was rarely seen at assembly proceedings. Ambassador Exenver spoke again, their tone measured but firm. Dr. Reyes, some knowledge is restricted not out of malice or desire for control but for the protection of all, the prohibition stands. Alina switched tactics. If the danger is so great, why not share the specific nature of the threat? Humans are more likely to respect boundaries when we understand their purpose. A new voice entered the conversation, rasping and ancient, emanating from the Kalathi observer who had somehow moved to the central floor unnoticed. The observer asked, and after 17,000 cycles, perhaps it is time for truth rather than dogma, while swiveling to take in the entire assembly. The assembly grew deathly quiet, even Ambassador Exenver seemed shocked by the Kalathi's intervention. Elder Tazarine, this is most irregular, the ambassador protested. The Kalathi ignored the objection, addressing Alina directly, human, your species has detected the whispers. This has happened only twice before in our recorded history, both instances ended with entire civilizations lost. Alina felt a chill despite the comfortable temperature of the hull. Lost? How, Elder? She asked. The first was the Sthnar Collective, 8,000 years before your species learned to speak. They built ships specifically designed to withstand the gravitational forces near event horizons. They sent 5 vessels, none returned in the conventional sense. Tazarine's ice docks shifted slightly, and in what Alina interpreted as sorrow, 3 orbital cycles later, the entire Sthnar civilization vanished overnight, 12 billion sentients gone. Their worlds remained, their cities intact but emptied of all life. The second instance, the Virum technocracy, occurred 9,000 years later with the same outcome. The assembly remained silent, with many delegates shifting uncomfortably or engaging in their species' equivalent of nervous fidgeting. What do you mean, they didn't return in the conventional sense? Alina pressed. Ambassador Senvora interrupted, this discussion has gone far enough. The human delegation, 1 ship did return. Tazarine continued, ignoring the ambassador, not physically, as a transmission, the crew had been changed. They spoke of entities dwelling within the singularity, ancient beings who had transcended physical form. The Sthnar ship had been taken apart and reconstructed at the subatomic level, the crew's consciousness had been altered, expanded, they no longer identified as Sthnar. Alina struggled to process this. Are you saying these entities are hostile? She asked. Not in the way you understand hostility, Tazarine replied. They simply exist in a state so fundamentally different from our own that interaction with them changes us irrevocably. The whispers you've detected are invitations, or perhaps more accurately, lures. Admiral Zix Karine's crystalline form vibrated with agitation. The human cannot be trusted with this knowledge. Their species is known for its recklessness, its inability to leave mysteries unsolved. Alina bristled at the characterization but maintained her professional demeanor. If these entities are so dangerous, why hasn't the Assembly established monitoring systems around black holes? Why rely on prohibition rather than active defense? The question hung in the air until Tazarine answered, because attention attracts attention, human. The more we observe them, the more they observe us. Alina felt a chill run down her spine, but scientific curiosity burned stronger than fear. Our readings suggest the signals from GRS 7291 have been increasing in complexity over the past 18 months. If these entities are already paying attention to our region of space, shouldn't we try to understand what they want? Ambassador Senver's skin paled to an almost translucent white. The Assembly's position remains unchanged, all research vessels must maintain the prescribed distance from black holes. Further violations will result in sanctions against Earth. Alina opened her mouth to protest, but Captain Miguel Santos, the military attaché assigned to her delegation, suddenly touched her arm, signaling her to stand down. She reluctantly complied. We respect the Assembly's position, Santos said smoothly. Earth will review its research protocols accordingly. As the humans were escorted from the chamber, Admiral Zix Karine approached Ambassador Kinvora. The humans will not comply, the Admiral stated flatly. It is their nature to push boundaries, especially those they do not understand. Kinvora's skin rippled with concern. Then we must increase surveillance in the Shireen sector. If they attempt to approach GRS 7291, we must be prepared to intervene. Unknown to the Assembly, Dr. Alina Riaz was already composing a message to Earth's Unified Space Command as she walked back to her temporary quarters. It read simply, Prohibition confirmed, suspicions validated, request Project Prometheus, proceed to Phase 2. 3 weeks later, in a top-secret facility beneath the Marani's Trench, humanity's most advanced spacecraft prepared for launch. The U.S. Prometheus was unlike any vessel ever built, designed not for the exploration of distant stars, but for a journey into what might be the most dangerous environment in the universe. Commander Samira Khan stood on the observation deck, watching as engineers made final adjustments to the ship's experimental gravitational field generators. At 36, She was younger than most would expect for such a critical mission. However, her combination of theoretical physics expertise and 5 years commanding deep space expeditions made her the perfect choice. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Riaz asked, joining her at the viewport. The assembly wasn't exaggerating about the quarantine. If we're caught, Earth could be isolated for centuries. Khan turned to face her friend and colleague. "You saw the latest readings, Alina. The signals are changing, becoming more directed. Whatever is in their knows we're listening, and it's trying to reach us." Alina nodded, her expression troubled. "The Kalathi's warning about lures concerns me. What if we're being manipulated?" "That's why we've designed the mission as we have," Khan replied. "The gravitational shielding should protect us from the worst physical effects, and the isolated quantum computers running on different logical frameworks give us redundancy if something tries to compromise our systems." Tapping her temple, she added, "The neural firewalls should protect our minds, at least long enough to retreat if necessary." "Should," Alina emphasized, "we're dealing with theoretical physics and entities we don't understand." Khan smiled, her dark eyes gleamed with the same curiosity that had driven humans to climb mountains, dive into ocean trenches, and venture into space. "Every great discovery in human history came with risk, Alina. If these entities have technology or knowledge that could help humanity advance, perhaps even migrate between galaxies someday, isn't that worth the danger? Besides," she said in a softer tone, "what if they're not predators but refugees? What if they need help?" Alina laughed despite her anxiety. "Only humans would consider mounting a rescue mission for beings living inside a black hole." "Exactly," Khan replied. "That's what the assembly doesn't understand about us. It's not recklessness, it's empathy, paired with curiosity. Where they see only threat, we see possibility." The facility's director, Dr. Wan, approached with a tablet displaying the latest data. "We've detected assembly vessels moving into the Shireen sector. They're establishing a perimeter around GRS 7291. If we're going to launch, it needs to be within the next 72 hours. Khan nodded decisively. "Then we launch tomorrow. Alert the crew and begin final preparations." As Dr. Chen left to carry out her orders, Alina gripped the railing, her knuckles white. 17,000 years of prohibition, Sam, what if they're right, she asked. Khan placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. "Then we'll be the first to know, and hopefully the last. But what if they're wrong? What if fear has kept the galaxy from the greatest discovery since interstellar travel?" Below them, the Prometheus gleamed under the harsh lights of the hangar, a testament to human ingenuity and humanity's eternal drive to venture into the unknown, regardless of the consequences. "Either way," Khan said softly, "tomorrow we make history." Into the unknown, the Prometheus slipped through space like a ghost, its revolutionary stealth systems rendered it nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. The ship's exterior, coated with light-absorbing metamaterials, betrayed no reflection, while its internal systems operated at temperatures barely above the cosmic background radiation. On the bridge, Commander Samira Khan watched the main view screen with intense focus. The black hole designated GRS 7291 loomed ahead, a perfect circle of absolute darkness, surrounded by the swirling brilliance of its accretion disk. "Status report," she ordered quietly. "All systems nominal," reported Lieutenant Een at operations. "Gravitational shielding at 98% efficiency, no sign of detection from the assembly vessels." Dr. Marcus Williams, the mission's chief signalingist, studied the increasingly complex signal patterns emanating from the black hole. "The transmissions have changed again, Commander, they're becoming more ordered, almost as if they're simplifying to make it easier for us to understand." Khan nodded thoughtfully. "They know we're here, or they know something is here." Correcting Dr. Riaz from her science station, she added, "They might not understand what we are yet." The Prometheus had evaded the assembly's blockade by approaching from above the galactic plane, using a series of precisely calculated microjumps that left minimal warp signatures. Now they were closer to GRS 7291 than any known vessel had come in 17 millennia. We're approaching the 1 astronomical unit boundary, announced Navigator Chen. Assembly prohibition line in 30 seconds, Khan said as she straightened in her command chair. This is the moment of truth, the point of no return. Once we cross that invisible line, we will be in direct violation of the Galactic Assembly's most sacred law. Proceed, she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the decision. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as the Prometheus continued its approach at 0.75 astronomical units from the black hole. Something unexpected happened. Commander, I'm detecting a localized distortion in spacetime directly ahead, reported Ian, his voice tense. It doesn't match any known natural phenomenon. On the view screen, a section of space seemed to ripple like the surface of water disturbed by a stone. The distortion grew, forming what appeared to be a tunnel of swirling blue-white energy, leading directly toward the black hole's event horizon. Full stop, Khan ordered sharply. Analysis. Alina's fingers flew across her console. It's some kind of stabilized wormhole, but the physics don't make sense, the quantum structure is. I've never seen anything like it. Dr. Williams leaned forward, eyes wide. The signal pattern just changed dramatically. I think it's an invitation. Khan considered their options. The mission parameters included investigation of any unusual phenomena, but this is beyond anything we had anticipated. Maintain position, deploy a probe. A small, unmanned probe detached from the Prometheus and moved slowly toward the spatial distortion. As it entered the tunnel of energy, the crew watched in fascination and apprehension. Probe telemetry is stable, reported Ian. It's transmitting from within the tunnel, gravitational forces are present but manageable, well within our shielding capabilities. Where does it lead? Khan asked. Alina studied the readings with growing excitement. The probe is detecting a pocket of normal space on the other side, a bubble where the laws of physics, as we understand them, still apply, despite being technically beyond the event horizon. Williams looked up from his station. Commander, we're receiving a new transmission, and it's in English. Put it on speakers, Khan ordered. Her pulse quickened as a voice filled the bridge, melodious and slightly echoing as if coming from multiple sources simultaneously. Visitors, at last. We have waited so long, please join us in conversation. Your probe confirms your vessel can safely traverse the passage. The bridge crew exchanged stunned glances. How do they know English? Lieutenant Ian asked. They've been studying our transmissions, Williams realized, probably for decades, maybe longer. Khan opened a channel. This is Commander Samira Khan of the Earth vessel Prometheus. Who are you and what is this place? The response came immediately. We are the architects. Once, long ago, we were like you, bound to physical form, limited by time and space. Now, we exist in the spaces between dimensions, and black holes are our windows to your universe. This passage is our creation, a bridge between our realities. Why have you contacted us? Khan asked. The response came again. The assembly records suggest previous encounters ended in disaster. A pause, then the assembly misunderstood. The Sthnar and Virum were not destroyed, they evolved. They chose to join us, some returned to explain, but their altered state caused fear. It is the fear that has persisted, not the danger. Alina couldn't contain herself. You're saying they ascended to a higher plane of existence, voluntarily? Yes, replied the architects. We offer understanding of realities beyond your comprehension, knowledge of the universe's true nature. The choice to evolve has always been freely given. Khan considered this carefully. If the architects are telling the truth, this could be the greatest discovery in human history. But if they are manipulating events, as the assembly feared. Commander, interrupted Lieutenant Ian urgently, assembly vessels are attempting to follow us through the passage, their weaponry is active. The crystalline structure pulsed with new patterns. They fear what they do not understand. For 17,000 years, their fear has kept countless species from the knowledge that could have transformed their existence. Khan made a decision. Open a channel to the assembly vessels on the view screen. The stern face of Admiral Zix Kareen appeared. Human vessel, you have violated our most sacred prohibition. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Khan stood tall. Admiral, we've made contact with the beings you call entities. They aren't hostile, they are teachers, repositories of knowledge from civilizations far older than any in the assembly. Your mind has already been compromised, she stated. The Admiral replied coldly, the entities always appear benevolent at first, it is how they seduce species to their doom. Then the voice of the architect spoke again, this time through the Prometheus's communication system so that the Admiral could hear. Zix Kareen of the Altaran Collective, your ancestors knew us 6,000 years ago, they too visited our realm. They took our knowledge of crystalline computing, the very technology that forms your physical body now, yet they chose to hide this origin from future generations, claiming the innovation as their own. The Admiral's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been shock or anger. Lies, manipulations. Alina stepped forward. Admiral, we're sending you the data we've collected. The architects aren't predators, they're librarians, curators of knowledge from across the universe. The Prometheus transmitted its findings, the stable physics of the pocket dimension, the non-invasive nature of the information transfer, and the historical records stored within the crystalline structure that confirmed the architect's claims. Khan addressed the Admiral directly. The prohibition was based on fear and misunderstanding. The Thnar and Virum weren't destroyed, they evolved beyond physical form by choice. Those who returned to explain were treated as threats rather than messengers. After a long pause, the Admiral said, nothing. Presumably reviewing the data, they continued, if what you say is true, human, then the Assembly has maintained a prohibition based on incomplete information for 17 millennia, not just incomplete. Khan replied, information deliberately hidden by the founding species, including your own. They kept the knowledge of the architects to themselves, using it to advance their own civilizations while denying others the same opportunity. The Admiral's form seemed to dim slightly. This requires investigation. The High Council must be informed. We propose a new approach, Khan said. A joint research initiative with representatives from all species who wish to participate, a transparent sharing of knowledge, with each civilization deciding for itself how to use what it learns. The crystalline structure pulsed with approval. We have waited for a species brave enough to bridge the gap to end the isolation imposed by fear. Humans, despite your youth among the stars, may be the catalysts for a new era of understanding. 3 months later, Dr. Alina Riaz stood once again before the Galactic Assembly, but this time the hall was filled not with apprehension but with excitement. Delegations from over 300 species had volunteered to participate in the newly formed Black Hole Research Consortium, with humans serving as intermediaries between the Assembly and the architects. Ambassador Senvora, who had opposed the human mission so vehemently, now introduced Alina with respect. Dr. Riaz will present the initial findings from the consortium's work with the beings now formally recognized as the architects. Alina surveyed the assembled delegates, noting how many species previously hostile to humanity now regarded them with new appreciation. Humans, young, impulsive, curious humans, have broken a 17,000-year taboo and discovered not doom but opportunity. 3 months ago, humanity took a step into the unknown against the warnings of those with far greater experience among the stars. We did so not out of arrogance, but out of a fundamental aspect of our nature, our need to understand, to connect, to explore. She activated a holographic display showing the crystalline structure within GRS 7291. What we found was not a threat, but a gift, a repository of knowledge gathered across billions of years by civilizations that evolved beyond physical form. The architects offer us glimpses of science so advanced it seems like magic, art that transcends medium, philosophy that bridges the gap between consciousness and reality itself. She paused, looking at the faces, and various sensory appendages, of the assembled delegates. But perhaps the most important discovery was not about the architects, but about ourselves, about all of us who exist in physical form among the stars. We learned that fear, even when born of genuine concern, can become a prison, that prohibitions without understanding lead to stagnation, that the greatest dangers often lie not in what we explore, but in what we refuse to examine. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. Near the back, Elder Tazarine of the Kalathi watched with their multiple ice docks swiveling in what Alina recognized as an expression of approval. The consortium has established protocols for safe interaction with the architects. Each member species will determine for itself how much knowledge it wishes to receive and how to implement it within its civilization. Some may eventually choose the path of the Thnar and evolve beyond physical form. Others, like humanity, plan to bring that knowledge back to enhance life among the stars. She concluded with a quote from a human philosopher: "The universe is not only stranger than we imagine but stranger than we can imagine, yet imagine we must, for in that imagination lies our greatest strength, the ability to conceive of possibilities beyond our present understanding." As the assembly erupted in approval, Commander Khan stepped up beside her friend. "Nicely done, Alina. I think you've officially changed galactic history." Alina smiled. "Not me, us, humanity. We did what we've always done, we stepped into the darkness, reached out our hands, and found not monsters, but new friends waiting for us." Khan looked out at the sea of alien delegates now clamoring to join the consortium. "You know, for all their advanced technology and million-year histories, they still needed us, the cosmic newcomers, to show them how to overcome their oldest fear. That's the gift humanity brings to the stars," Alina replied. "Not just our science or our art or our philosophy, but our fundamental nature, our irrepressible need to reach into the unknown and say, 'Hello, is anyone there?'" In the vastness of the assembly hall, representatives of 400 species from across the galaxy discussed the future with new hope and excitement, and at the center of it all stood humans, the species who looked into the darkest, most feared objects in the universe and saw not an ending, but a beginning.